What's up, guys? We're back for another best bets and picks video. This one for UFC Vegas 49, Makhachev versus Green. And we've been doing pretty good on our picks that we had put out in this video on best bets. The past few weeks, we've cashed, almost every single confident pick on the board. Let's do it again. Starting with Ramiz Brahimaj. I can't believe I'm starting this off, my most confident fighter being Brahimaj, but in this spot, it makes sense to me. Even at a minus 380 favorite over Michael Gilmore. Gilmore is a guy who's 6-4 professionally. I think he's only in the organization right now because he did them a favor on the Ultimate Fighter where he came last short notice replacement, lost the fight via rear naked choke to Gilbert Urbina, lost his following bout, and I think Ramiz Brahimaj can cut right through this guy. Ramiz's skill set fits right into Michael Gilmore's deficiencies. His ground game, very, very poor defense. I think Ramiz can treat this fight kind of like Sasha Palatnikov, where he comes in very early, gets the submission, easy night for him. I just think that his last fight, even though he dropped the ball against Court McGee is known to really be able to stifle the grappling game plan of some of his opponents, so no shame there. That was a very hard veteran test for a young guy like Ramiz. I think Ramiz wins this one pretty easily. Jonathan Martinez is my next confident fighter on this card. Minus 250 favorite over Alejandro Perez, and I believe that is warranted. I think there's even more value on Martinez. His striking is just head and shoulders above that of Alejandro Perez, in my opinion. I know Perez has a pretty slick grappling game that he showed in his last fight, but in Martinez's last fight, he faced Zavid Lavashvili. He was able to show that he can stifle the grappling game as well, and was able to show pretty good takedown defense, pretty good defensive grappling, and was able to just tune him up on the feet with using his range very, very well, which I think will play into Martinez's favor in this fight as the bigger man. Give me Jonathan Martinez to win this fight, even in the distance, but I think even inside the distance, but I think even at minus 250 on the money line, not a bad bet on Martinez. One of my favorite underdogs in this card, and I like some underdogs in this card, but this is one that I feel very strongly about, especially at the price. Plus 195 I got for Joel Alvarez against Armand Petrosian. Now, this is a tough test, but at plus 195, I think he's got way better of a shot than that line suggests for Joel Alvarez. I think he can win the fight standing, as he showed in his last fight against a grapple-heavy guy in Moises. He didn't even let him get to the grappling. He just knocked him out on the feet a couple minutes into the first round. He shows pretty good submissions off of his back, some guillotines on his record, some arm bars. Though I think that he probably will not submit Armand in this fight. I think the fact that he can stay, he can actually challenge submissions, threaten with submissions off of his back, probably get the fight back to a standing position where he prefers it. Maybe get the standing knockout that way. But either way, I just think that he's got more than plus 95 of a chance to win this fight. So give me Joel Alvarez as a pretty confident underdog. If you can get Joel Alvarez for anything over plus 170, I think that's a good bet. After that, I think, there's a good chance that Armand Petrosian comes in here, employs his game plan perfectly, and wins a decision here. But plus 195 where I got this, and like I said, anything over plus 70, I think is a good bet. Going on to some of the props that I like, and all three of these are going to be time props, which sometimes I like, sometimes I don't. I usually don't like unders, but these are actually all overs for these three fights. So starting with Josiane Nunes, Ramona Pascal, over 1.5 rounds at minus 135. This isn't a women's featherweight bout. The fact that I get over 1.5 really struck me. That really stood out on the gambling cards here. I think that, unless it's like an Amanda Nunes or a Valentina Shevchenko maybe, or, a Ronda Rousey back in the day, to get an over 1.5 in a women's fight, at minus 135, I think that's kind of a gift. I know Josiane Nunes has a lot of round one finishes. Those are probably over a lot of questionable competition on the regional scene. Ramona Pascal, definitely questionable and coming off the regional scene herself, but this is up a weight class for Josiane Nunes. So I'm going to count on the fact that Ramona Pascal and just her size over Josiane Nunes will at least pad her to, not get knocked out in round one, at least get us to that 7.5 minute mark of the fight at minus 135. I don't think that's a bad bet. That shows a 57% implied probability for a women's fight. I just think that that's a steal, and I can't pass that one up. So I've already placed that bet. like I said, Josie Nunes definitely could come in here. She won in her last fight in the UFC over a much larger opponent in round one. It still took her until, the end of round one to do that. So if Ramona could just come in here and just, 57% chance that she can survive that, I'll take those odds. Moving on to the over 1.5 for Wellington Turman taking on Misha Serkinov. I like the over 1.5 here. Two guys that are pretty grapple heavy. Two guys that have been kind of timid in their last few fights. I think that their grappling will maybe nullify each other here in this spot, and it'll be just an awkward striking battle on the feet. Even if Serkinov can get some takedowns or vice versa, I think both guys are pretty defensively sound, and I think it'll just nullify each other for at least a round and a half. Like I said, 7.5 minute mark for this. I think at minus 175, not a bad bet there. And then also the over 2.5 in Makhachev versus Green. This is at even money. I'm not as confident in this one, obviously, because Islam Makhachev is a beast. Bobby Green coming in on short notice. But if you look at the record of Bobby Green, I mean, the guy shows decisions, all over his record. He's known to at least last until the judges' scorecards. Finished very, 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 seldomly. And he's survived against some grappling exchanges against Thiago Moises, Clay Guida, Francisco Trinaldo even. I know that these guys are not on the level of Islam Makhachev, but for 2.5 rounds, even money, plus 100, I think that's a good bet there too. Here's a couple long shot props that I like. Terrence McKinney by round 1 KO at plus 500. If you watch my full card breakdown, I am picking Faraz Ziam in this fight, but I can't look past the value on this. I think plus 500 for round 1 KO. Terrence McKinney has done this 5 times in his career, and if you want to take just a round one victory for Terrence McKinney at plus 380, he's done that 11 times in his career. So the clear and most likely and most frequent path for Terrence McKinney to get those kinds of plus odds on, I think those are good bets, even though I think that there's a better chance that Faraz Ziam can drag him out into deep waters and win this fight. I can't look past the value on those. I like those bets. I've not placed those myself, but I wouldn't blame anybody for taking that. The next one that I like is Gregory Rodriguez by submission at plus 350. This is really just because that's a huge skill set for Gregory Rodriguez. He's shown his wonderful BJJ skill before. He can get body triangles on people. He's really good in the grappling sequences. And his opponent here, Armand Petrosian, the last time we saw Petrosian, he gave his back to stand up like 5 times in this fight against Kolev and the Dana White Contender Series last season. So don't get me wrong, Petrosian is very live to get the knockout. He's live to show some of that wonderful kickboxing he has against Gregory Rodriguez. But if Rodriguez gets him down to the ground and Petrosian has to give his back to get up, I don't think he's going to get away with this like he did on the Contender Series. I think that at this level of the game, if that's your defense and that's how you scramble to your feet is by giving up your back and your neck, I think plus 350 for Gregory Rodriguez by submission is very live. So those are my favorite bets on this card. It's a card that I think is going to be a lot of fun. I had to really dig for some value spots in this card. There's a lot of wide favorites. I mean, look, you've got Islam Makhachev is like a minus 1,000 favorite. So what are you going to do? Had to get creative. Had to look at some time props, some overs. But Ramiz Brahimaj, Jonathan Martinez, Joel Alvarez, a few of the money line spots that I really do like on this. I think those guys, I think at least Martinez and Brahimaj are parlayable if you want to go that route. I certainly am. And then some of the other props, I put my own money on all of the time props and Terrence McKinney in round 1 as well. Just it's kind of like an insurance policy in case my Faraz Ziam pick goes south. So those are the spots I like. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment on some of your favorite props if you agree, if you disagree. And we'll see you guys next time. Good luck with all your betting action this weekend.